Do we have a name for this? This is
Infinity Warm-Up, son.
Infinity
We're getting
Warm-Ups.
ready for Infinity War by recapping the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Chronologically, hopefully. Starting with Iron Man. Are you jazzed? Are you pumped?
Oh, you know they are. But are we doing names here?
Oh, what do you mean?
I use my name. Do you want to use yours? I mean, do you have some kind of intro, or do you have a code name?
Oh, like linked? No, I'll just be trolling the iTunes reviews section. So catch me there. But otherwise, no. I want all the hate mail to go to you. So for all intents and purposes,
you're not even going to use. Okay, so we're gonna go with Trey.
Yes.
Okay, I can do that. All right. Well, this is Jabriel. I think I use both names. Jabriel Parimal. I also do the. Is
Look
it just
at you,
me?
not worried about identity theft.
There's only one Jabriel Parimal, and he's not having an easy go. But yeah, I do the Is It Just Me podcast that has like 13 episodes and like 12 listeners, mostly family and friends. But yeah, so let's go over. Okay, so what are we trying to do here with this whole Infinity Wars podcast, huh?
I mean, I want to explore this, the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a concept because I like the idea of having a comic book style continuity brought into a mainstream audience, and I think Marvel's portrayal of it, the way they did it, is the best way to do it, especially when you consider now Universal's trying to launch its MonsterVerse, and DC Comics has launched a failed attempt at a cinematic universe. It's nice to see something go right from a large group of people making decisions on a gang of movies that have really had no installments or fuck ups. Like, I can't think of other than Iron Fist. But have you seen Iron Fist?
Well, but no, I haven't. But you're going to the TV shows?
Well, no. We're gonna stick with the movies for this. But I can't recall. Well, I mean, there's no movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that's outright bad. They've had a few like I'm not too high on
Totally.
Ant-Man. Like, I honestly can't tell you the plot of Ant-Man.
I think I know.
I'm being honest.
I
did?
I think I did.
First of all,
honestly...
have you seen every film? There's 16 of them now, literally over the course of 10 years. So you have to dredge through your memory to find like the Hulk and stuff. I keep confusing it with the Ang Lee Hulk version, but
there's 16 right now that are already out.
Yeah, I want to say 16.
I've seen. Okay, you just mean in continuity. Okay.
Yeah,
Never mind.
Going all the way up to Spider-Man: Homecoming. I believe we are 16 films deep into it.
Jesus.
Nearly 10 years in. Yeah. So
okay.
it's a Herculean run of releasing good films, which credit to Whedon and Kevin Feige. I don't know how to say his name.
Josh Whedon is the only name I know. Who's the other guy?
Kevin Feige, executive producers at Marvel. The guys running the ship on this one have put together 16 great films, and it's impressive because this is really unprecedented. Like, before 2008, like, honestly, the only thing you compare this to is Harry Potter, but Harry Potter was still operating off one author and a book series. This is an amalgamation of 40 plus years of comic book history with a slew of different people creating the characters and tailoring storylines that weren't necessarily meant to intersect other than large comic book events. So it's
okay. I know you've seen way more or read way more of the comics than me, but it seems like to some degree that they're all just kind of like, it's not an amalgamation of all of it. It's normally they just pick a storyline and kind of go with it, right? Like, this is like, okay, so I can't think of a specific example because I'm really bad at reading comics and stuff, but it's just like, okay, well, we're just gonna use the Age of Apocalypse and we're gonna go with like that storyline, right? And when did this come out? And then they go from there, and then they go to Foxville. They go kind of all over the place. Don't get me wrong, but it's normally based off I thought it's the most recent series, right?
Well, you're talking about X-Men with Age of Apocalypse, and that's largely my comic book background. I'm a huge X-Men fan, but I've hated I've hated what Fox has done with my X-Men, because it's just so hard to like the reason why I like Marvel is because as you'll see, we're going to tackle each installment into it, and you really get a character's own movie, like Iron Man, for instance. You get to know the character of Tony Stark. You get to enjoy his alcoholism, his inability
I
to
enjoyed
take
it.
anything serious, and just the limitations of what the suit can do. You get to see him go up against a tank, a fighter jet. So you're just you have a good parameters for the limitations of the character, and this is all before you even get to Avengers. Like they're going to introduce you to Hulk, Thor, Captain America prior to that, so you get to see everybody come into their own prior to teaming up. Like what I was saying before, it's impressive that that a cinematic universe has been conceived this way and actualized to the magnitude to which I've done it thus far. It's
true. Marvel basically can't fuck up at this point. It's like
not true.
You can,
not
but
true.
you're on such a okay. Like, but who is their competitor? You're saying this whole time how bad DC is, and I don't even think they're. I think the team kind of aspect, like how they're trying to just force the Justice League. Like I think it's coming out in like 6 months or something.
Yeah, it's gonna be really bad. I'm gonna love it.
So
it's gonna be. So
I get
bad.
how they're fucking that up, but it's not like DC's fucking up in general because they made some pretty good Batman movies. So I think we're talking about the whole team ups and not just the whole cinematic universe, right?
Well, yeah, and you have to delineate the difference between an individual movie and the universe they're in. Like right now, the only movies tied to Justice League are Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and Wonder Woman. And of those movies, only Wonder Woman was good. Now, before we go down the trail of shitting on DC, because I know you're going to get all the hate email that I'm just not even going to be a part of. I'm not going to help you.
We can do that slowly as we climb. It's just slowly just be like, well, how would you compare this to any DC movie? Well,
right,
okay.
right. And in doing so, you get to see the benefit of being patient and taking your time to develop the characters as opposed to rushing. And I mean, everybody knows the knock on DC, and it's really just a result of just corporate greed and just desperately trying to catch up with
it's like Xbox versus Sony.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. But it's done in a very insincere sort of cash grabby fashion on their end.
but that's the exact same way though, right? Like it's how many consoles need to be like, oh well, this is really super awesome how we upgraded it from the last 15 years of this console, but when you put them side by side with their generation, it's just like they're missing like one key component. It's like, well, when the Xbox 360 was compared with the PS3, it was like Blu-ray player, bitch, and it's just like not only did they have the Blu-ray player, but to have the 360, you'd have to, and I did, buy like an HD DVD player. It looks like a smaller version of the 360. It rests on top of it and claims one of its ports. And then it failed miserably. There was like 60 movies. I had like Anchorman for whatever reason, which was, I don't know why, who bought that for me. I did not. It's a good movie, but I don't want to see like Will Ferrell, and he's like my only HD movie is close-ups of Will Ferrell in the 1970s.
Spoken with the passion of a man who has genuinely been shafted by Xbox. I'm sorry.
That's literally it's
loss.
Exactly the same thing. It's like, well, we launched this a little bit too early, and because of that, we failed to bring quality to the table. Like we thought we had enough, and they were going to get ahead of us. We can't let them be ahead of us. They can't start before we did. It seems like it's the same, but I mean, obviously there are differences, but it's just from a macro point of view. There's just that. That's protein.
Oh,
this is
we'll try to hate on DC a little less. I mean, Marvel does have problems too. One of the largest knocks against this is that there's not really a memorable villain. Like we're about to discuss Iron Man, like Obadiah Stane, Jeff Bridges.
Are we getting into this now?
Sure.
It's only been 10 minutes.
Has it now? Don't worry, this ball What do we got? 45 minutes before this thing turns into a pumpkin?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh no. Oh no.
Not left.
But
No,
yeah,
it's
like Jeff
35.
Bridges is Bridges.
The dude.
That's how you say it. His portrayal of Obadiah Stane, like that, he turned on a dime to a bad guy, and like I'm really sympathetic towards villains just in general in movies. I like to just be on their side, you know. They get the short end of the stick so much, and I didn't.
You're talking
see
about super prisons
why.
that could be your only
No,
rebuttal.
just villains in general. Just villains in general. But I
Well,
don't see why Obi, as he's called, has to be evil in this one. Like it,
Well,
or
go
I don't
back a
understand the
second.
motive. I don't understand the motive for turning on Tony Stark. You know?
You say he turned on a dime, but like to me, as someone who didn't really know much about Iron Man past, even though I like Iron Man a lot, and that's definitely why I saw this movie in theaters. But was he not like an asshole like when he worked with Tony's father, and you know what I mean? Like he always had this motive.
You're lucky that I dredged through the wikis. I think I might have like some of the first 10 issues of Iron Man somewhere in a storage shed somewhere in California. But
Is it not the classic story of he inherited the Starks company, right? And then Tony was in school, so he couldn't do anything. So then when he came back, it's just like he took this company away from him, and he's just like, oh, fucking asshole. Like he's just always in like the shadows. No. Damn it.
I mean,
You're kinda tisking in.
there is similarities between this movie and the comic book origins of Tony Stark. They just kind of move what war like Tony Stark is originally conceived as like a Vietnam answer to like Cold War preparations type of deal. So they just changed Vietnam to Afghanistan and retooled the origin story around that.
Just updated it for people in 2000.
Yeah, but I'm skipping ahead a little in the film. But at no point is there a reason for Obadiah Stane to kill Tony Stark. You know what I'm saying? Like, he calls him the Golden Goose, and he is. Tony Stark is a fucking genius.
Mm-hmm.
And he was dead set on continuing to manufacture weapons for Stark Industries until, for no real reason, Obi just kind of wants him dead. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to empathize with the villain in that regard, but he just switched on a dime. He got that Men in Black paralysis technology, and he was just eager to use it throughout the entire film. He just kept paralyzing people and taking their stuff. Tony's heart.
Dude, it's a good move.
Bunch of weapons. I mean, yeah, it's a fun toy, but, you know, don't go ham. You got a career to maintain.
I don't
you
know.
want to start at the top of the film?
Yeah.
Because it starts out.
God damn it! Yeah, you go ahead.
It starts out in Afghanistan. It does prior to him becoming Iron Man. You get to see him in a Humvee, and it's a good introduction to Robert Downey's portrayal of Tony Stark, which really holds the movie together because he's a bit of a tour de force. He's fun, he's ridiculous, he's drunk, and portrayals of alcohol on stream
drinking.
are kind of hard to nail down. Like, there's Archer, there's do you watch Game of Thrones much?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Cersei Lannister? It's hard to show how inebriated a character is and how much that fuels decisions, but I'm willing to chalk up a lot of Tony Stark's bad decisions to him being constantly plastered. They do a good job of trying to show him with the glass in his hand as much as conceivably possible.
That's the only way to show somebody who's like it's like an acceptable drug. I mean, like he obviously has to be fucked up on something all the time. The dude's got mad stress, but but it's.
I mean, you can keep it together.
He's basically in charge of this company, right? Like, I mean, I'm just because he's super smart and his hands are always busy. That means he doesn't have any stress. Maybe that's a good point, Trey. I don't fucking know. Okay, I'm trying to.
You
start
say
the
he's
movie
in
now.
charge of the company, but he didn't know that they were double dealing under the table, as he'll point out later in the movie.
Yeah,
but I mean,
you know they had that fundraiser.
I'm willing to give that one to the alcohol, saying, I guess you just didn't know that he was giving bombs to terrorists. And as lighthearted of a movie is, this is what, quite a few years past September 11th, liberal use of just killing terrorists. And I know that, terrorists are a good unanimous form of a bad guy that you can just go after, but thought that was a little harsh to just blow up Tamir and all the whatnots.
Wait, was that the name of that guy who gave him the inspiration?
I want to say I wrote down the names of these people.
Where's the Wikipedia page? How are we fucking this up? I have the movie playing, so I can kind of go scene by scene here, because I definitely don't remember it that well.
Well, but it opens up in the scene of the convent. I believe they played it in the trailer. Large portions of the scene right before he gets blown up, and it flashbacks to the Apogee Awards ceremony where they're
honoring Tony and he's not there.
Yeah, and this was a very efficient way to get all of his backstory into you. Literally a press conference and a podium and a PowerPoint presentation telling you everything you need to know about Tony. And
some things seem condensed, but yet it's a 2-hour movie, isn't it?
Is it really? I didn't know the runtime was that long on it.
Let me get the exact right now. It is 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 1 second. Yeah,
easy peasy. Well, that would explain why they use this. Leslie Bibb is the real name of the actor, but the reporter that comes up to Tony at the award ceremony to just
Christine.
Yeah, Christine, thank you. To just condemn him for being a warmonger before hopping to Malibu with them. And that'll run you into Gwyneth Paltrow.
It just goes to show, man, like, you can hate Tony all you want, but if you're a chick and you're not gay, you're just going to fuck him at some point. Like, he's just that guy. Fucking went 12 for 12? Or no, not all 12. No, or not all 13, because they were twins. He still missed out on one. But yeah, dude, you're right. It's definitely a condensed way to just toss in all the information. But I mean, a lot of it's just information to tell you about his character, though, just before you have to, before you find out who he is by seeing him act, they can just kind of show you all these things about him. Like, he doesn't give a fuck about the award ceremony. He's over here partying with bitches, spending all kinds of money. All kinds of money. He lost that hand when Rhodes fucking hit it.
Yeah, and this is why I think Robert Downey Jr. is perfect for the role, because I've always felt that he's needed somebody to bounce off of in order to be fun as an actor. Like, have you seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
Nope.
No? Shame on you. I mean, like, what have you seen him in other than Tropical Thunder? Tropic Thunder?
Tropical Thunder.
Tropical Thunder is a porn. Tropic Thunder.
Okay, so I've only seen Tropic Thunder like 1.5 times. I saw Natural Born Killers.
Well, he's the dude playing the dude disguised as another dude.
I saw he was in some movie about some kid who goes to this high school and he has a psychiatrist who gives him a bunch of prescriptions and then he sells drugs at school. Charlie Bartlett, who was the principal.
Bullshit, really? I thought it was all about that redhead kid. I had no clue Downey was it. No, wasn't he the boyfriend?
He was the principal.
We're dangerously derailed.
Keep us on
but
track.
Downey is best when he does not have to be the straight man. And to do this, you kind of it's the reason why I like the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, because Jack Sparrow didn't have to carry it like he did in the subsequent sequels. Like, you're allowed to just have Tony be an insane genius alcoholic and use characters like Christine to move the plot along. So when they get back...
Dude, there's like 6 characters in this movie. You think she was the only one?
Well, I mean...
Everyone told you a different side about Tony Stark that they didn't like.
Well, some of the people stand on their own, like when they get to the cave.
Okay.
Doctor gentleman, that tragic sad sack.
He was alive there that whole time, all by himself.
I will concede to your point that he's just there to make Tony actualize the vision of being a hero. But because before that,
accountability, that's his new favorite word.
Yeah, he's a bit self-serving, and you could see it in his interactions with his super secretary, Miss Potts.
I don't want to jump too far in the future, so I'm just going to say this, but yeah, you can see, like, this definitely sets off his character, like, and you just see this character come up more often, you know, in like in his background. The word accountability. You have to take accountability.
Oh yeah, you're talking about
actions.
that scene with the doctor.
Oh,
Yinston, is it?
Well, I'm saying he says it like a few times throughout the movie, and all it did was kept making me think about like Civil War, and I was just like, "Yep, okay, no, you're right." Like,
but he wasn't really on an accountability kick until Christine pops back into the movie. Literally, her only 2 appearances are to get Downey to go somewhere else. So he's not actually salty about all the atrocities that have been committed in the name of Stark Industries until she shows up.
What are you talking about? There's when he sees that his missiles are in some other country that he didn't know they should be over here. He's like, "What the fuck? Who sold you this shit?" Like, you didn't think that was starting to spike his character? That's why out of nowhere he went from "I'm not making you the bomb," "I'm not making you the bomb," to "I'm gonna make this suit and fuck all you guys up."
Well, actually, yeah. Let's get to that part because they have to do the missile demonstration scene, a scene also in the trailer from 2008. We probably don't have to recount trailers since it came out damn near 10 years ago. But I do appreciate that that scene with him, just even arriving to his own personal jet and the greatness that is Terrence Howard trying his hardest to talk some sense into Tony Stark, but he's just not having it. He's just too fun of a person. Like, I genuinely think Tony's the bad guy of this story.
Well, he's never, like, okay, I mean, I'm not going to say he didn't have a rough childhood, but he, like, to this point, he kind of gets everything he wants, and he's never, like, he never gets hit in the head. Like, to when you're talking about he's trying to talk all this sense into Tony, and even after he gets captured, he still kind of does it, but once Tony starts getting in danger, like, he just goes, "Oh, well, fuck this shit. I'm going over here. Like, I'm going to stop being, like, I don't know, I guess stop being tortured to be like, I'm going to start whooping some ass. I'm going to make myself a super cop. And I give myself my own training."
Yeah. I mean, and how lucky is Tony to be bunk mates with the only other super genius in Afghanistan? I mean, there's that line that Obadiah says towards the end of the movie, like, he's able to build this in a cave with a bunch of straps. But think about Yinsen, like, he was able to hook Tony's heart up to a car battery in a cave with a bunch of scraps. So yeah, he got ridiculously lucky that he's not dead in that regard. But
remind me later, like, because I'm wondering how Tony's still alive after the arc reactor scene.
This is apparently true to his comic book origin story, but the science on open heart surgery with the physical therapy of lugging around a battery for a car. I'm not, not a surgeon, so I can't tell you that thing that's real in the world. But I'm inclined to say no. But because eventually, what happens? Do you know the name of the initial terrorist who makes the demands for him to build the Jericho missile?
Oh, God damn it! I can find out. I mean, I did know it yesterday.
And while you're looking for that, going back to the Jericho scene, this is why I initially thought that Tony Stark is the bad guy of the movie, because you just can't have that kind of firepower. You just shouldn't be allowed to wipe out a countryside and still be toasting to peace afterward, It
wasn't anything about peace. He said peace goes to the guy with the bigger gun, right? Or stick.
I mean, that's how Dad did it. That's how America does it. It's worked so far. Did you find the name of that guy?
Okay, so Yinsen, is that the
It's buddy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Raza?
Raza does sound familiar, yeah. So they're stuck in a cave. He's told
It seemed
strongly.
planned out, like how they had both of these guys kidnapped. Because why? Do we know, or do you know, why they randomly had Yinsen?
No, it was dumb luck that Tony didn't die of metal in his heart. He just got lucky.
Well, goddamn.
And Yinsen happened to be there.
That dude gets lucky a lot.
And
He's essentially Archer.
Well, even more egregious than that is why was he even told to be killed in the first place? Because you get the impression from Obadiah that Tony has gone mad since the events in the cave, and he needs to be taken. It was Obadiah who filed the injunction against him to the board of directors and had tried to have him kicked out of the company. When that didn't work, he then ripped out Tony's heart to use it for his own weapon. But prior to that, he got a bunch of terrorists to try to kill Tony. At this point, seemingly no reason. Tony Stark is all in on his own company. He's steady building Jericho missiles. Why does Obadiah want him dead?
I assume at some point he would find out, I suppose, that he was dealing to everybody, and he would have something to say about that. I mean, the fact that he found out that way was not in his plan, of course, but the fact that he didn't know doesn't mean he wouldn't have found out.
Well, yeah, and he finds out later in the movie when he sends Super Secretary Pepper Potts to with the flash drive to Obi's computer, and there's
and
an
it's super weird and creepy
of a terrorist interaction with the translate button.
He tried,
that says, hey, you told us to kill this guy, but it's Tony Stark, man. You're gonna have to give us more money. But prior to that, like Obi wanted him dead for no reason. But whatever.
Do you think the terrorists were Jewish?
Sure. No, this was Afghanistan. They were whatever the nation of Afghanistan is.
Is that what they said they were?
A slew of brown. But that's where they were. That's where he was captured.
No, that's not what it was called.
Yeah, it was in
called
some
like Walia or something like that, right?
Golmeria. Golmeria is where the terrorists were using Stark's weapons to just generally cause chaos and destruction. But as far as where Tony was captured, and if you want, let's talk
where
about.
He's captured. Okay, my bad.
Yeah,
you're right.
And if you want, let's talk about that cave scene for a bit, because I think it's one of the better sequences in the movies when he
it's
just
the
going
origin
through
of the iron suit, man.
Yeah. It's pretty neat. But my beef is, how did these terrorists not know that he was not building a missile? I mean, at the point in time that you can even see on the CCTV video that they had, that he had his legs strapped up to a machine.
Yeah, and it was going up and down. They saw that.
To be able to get up and walk, And even before that, he took out the car battery and put in his arc reactor tech off of some depleted uranium that he picked off of some missiles. That's at least a week's worth of work,
No, for Iron Man? No, dude. He's like, what's his name? Forge, man. He made that shit in 45 minutes. Well,
all right,
okay,
fuck
he had
it, whatever.
His name?
He did it in 2 hours. Either way, his glowing chest is not a missile. That's grounds to walk in there and shoot up everybody.
I honestly thought they were just so stupid. They were just like, okay, you got to let him do a few things. He needs to live, right? So he made himself this jetpack. Okay, that's a little bit too much.
No. Making yourself a super fancy bowl of food is okay, but not a walking missile machine. That's when you get suspicious. And to their credit, I mean, I guess they tried to walk in and torture Yinsen, but Tony's like, I need him. He's steady hands and shit. He's important. So that got him out of being murdered. But
he's very quick with his words. You can barely hear him saying steady hands.
As far as his exit from the cave, how'd you appreciate the action sequence of him not getting shot in the eye holes as he
more than that? There's no way. He's about as covered up as the Juggernaut, but without the magic wrapped around it.
Yeah, I don't think he had anything on like his legs. Like, yeah, totally shoot him in the thigh or
Up
something.
to the knee, yeah. He could have been fucked up. He almost got fucked up
Even
when
that.
he went back as Iron Man.
No, what hit him? Literally nothing. And when he shows up the second time, Iron Man proper, like he just walked through those guys way too easy.
Am I forgetting something? No, there was a scene where they kind of had, or it looked like they had an upper hand for a second. I think it was, I thought everybody started shooting at once. It basically just reminded me of the time that I found out that Iron Man can't just fly over Wakanda and be like, look, bitch, I'm Iron Man. They were like, so?
Pretty much.
FYI, 30 minutes?
Ooh, shucks. Man, we're only at Yinsen dying.
But,
No bueno. But I do agree, like, at the point where Yinsen is killed by, I'm going to say debris, Tony Stark is purpose-driven from that point forward. They make it back to America. First thing he wants is a goddamn cheeseburger and a press conference to say that he's dissolving the company. And from there, we get all of the
Arc reactor.
The Iron Man greatest hits. Yeah, the building of the suit, testing of the flying, all the fun stuff.
I want to point out that they did it well. He didn't just have a cheeseburger. He ate the first cheeseburger, he swallowed it, and then that one, like, calmed his stomach. Yeah, he had 2 cheeseburgers. That one calmed his stomach, and that's why the second one he ate about as slow as a normal individual should eat a cheeseburger.
Well, yeah, he couldn't walk. He was sitting in front of the press conference podium. That's where you get your introduction to Phil Coulson, who's going to be a mainstay throughout the Avengers run, talking to Pepper Potts about S.H.I.E.L.D., and he didn't use the acronym until the end. Do you know what S.H.I.E.L.D. stands for?
I always forget. No, and I have fucking Wikipedia open in front of me. I couldn't find it in enough time. I bet you would fucking school me on it, but superhuman. No, it's something stupid. Superhuman, illegal, ethnic, legal.
Right. So after the press conference, Obi convinces Tony to lay low for a bit, and you still really can't tell if he's evil at this point, because right now he's just playing a friend. He's playing a friend like he plays a creepy uncle, where it's constant hand over the shoulder, like, "Hey, buddy,
Yeah,
I got this. Let me deal with the directors."
that's perfect. That's how you're supposed to be dirty.
I mean, I guess it's just, and I'm willing to blame the alcohol for this, but I feel like Tony should know a little bit. Are we double dealing under the table, man? Like, it shouldn't come to that at like a party.
That's
know?
a good
Like,
point.
hey,
He did seem very like much that he seemed more like Obadiah was a member of the family. Like he could trust him with some shit. Like he trusted everyone a little bit, but there was like 5 other characters in the movie, and like 4 of them were his best friend, and Obadiah was one of them. But okay, so the scene. I think what we need to do is we're gonna have to break this up, Trey. We're not gonna be able to do this in 45 minutes. We didn't.
Son of a gun! What time is
It's
it, man?
33 minutes, but if we're just gonna go, if we're not gonna, okay, that depends. What are you trying to get out of this? Do you want to like blow it up so that we don't miss a beat, or are we just trying to go? I mean, are we trying to keep enough construction that this will help people get their way to the Infinity Stone? I don't really care. I just know that I'm probably just gonna have to break it up into more than one, but I mean, that'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, obviously you're gonna edit this part out. So, like,
yeah, am I?
are you?
It's a
You're
lot
not
of
that
editing.
late.
Dude, you know how much time I have in a day? I'm supposed to be editing podcasts. What the fuck? There's no money to be made from this. I need to make my YouTube channel as well.
Fair play. Yarg? I mean, let me see. How many more notes do I have? I was literally about to tackle this scene by scene.
And that's fine. I mean, I just... Well, I know for sure that as far as the Spreaker thing goes, you can't record more than 45, but I mean, basically, I just upload these files to Spreaker, so I don't know that it won't let me upload one for more than 45. I guess I'll end up finding out, but I could just be able to break them up into, part 1 of 1 and 2
wait,
of 2.
I thought that it would shut you down, like it would stop you from recording.
Yeah, but I'm not using that to record. I just use that has all my podcasts on them. That's just where I put the feed. I don't use that. I'm not using that to record. I don't think it could record you right now. I'm using Action to record. It's complicated. It's how it works.
Believe you. Believe you.
Let's just fucking plow through this, man. Moving forward. Let me say some things here. I have notes. Too, man.
All right. All right.
Well, what I like to do is I like to take apart things that kind of, I don't know, just point out things that they skipped for whatever reason, because it's clear that they wanted to do a lot in this movie. They spent 2 hours doing it, which is fine, but they could have totally spent more time. There could have just been, I suppose, 20 to 30 more minutes of edited footage. They could have just tackled or whatever, put that on the DVD. Here's some more footage that we thought was kind of boring. But do you remember that scene? So, do you remember when they showed like all the montages of Tony like first learning how to use his fucking iron suit? Like he starts off with the boots.
Yeah, the Mark II, I believe, is what he calls.
Yeah.
He initially approaches Rhodey about going into the private sector.
Yeah, he blows him off.
And
you're not gonna make weapons for us anymore? Fuck you.
You need to get your head right, man. So that's when he goes into his bunker, fires up Jarvis, Siri 2.0.
You don't turn on Jarvis. He's always on.
Fair enough. And threatens to donate his minions to a city college. Yeah, I think that's the best part of the movie, hands down. The failed flight test is one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, the scenes that have almost no fucking dialogue. All you gotta do is show him learning. I think it's great because like because how fucking hard would it be to fly the iron suit? Even if you are Tony Stark smart, it's got to be difficult. They showed several minutes of him learning like just the regular, the thrusters from his boots, and then he was trying to use all fours, where he used like his hands too to kind of stabilize and whatnot.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
All the comedy
and even then, he found out that the stabilizer can be used as a gun. Like I thought this was in the vein of comic books. This whole middle sequence right here in the movie, where you get to know the limitations of the Iron Man suit, and it's something that Marvel does better than I believe. Well, obviously DC, but pretty much any other comic book movie is really sets the limitations of their characters and wants you to know. And this kind of goes by the wayside when you get to characters like the Scarlet Witch, which what the fuck does she do? Nobody knows yet. But the main the Hulk, Captain America.
Hands.
She moves her hands and stuff happens.
No, yeah, of course, yeah, but it's.
But
I was thinking we're not going to put up a video, so I was like, man, I got to say what I'm doing here, otherwise this makes no sense. Just moving my hands.
They dedicate a good 30 minutes to getting to know the Mark II Iron Man suit.
True, very true. I thought they spent a good amount of time doing that. I just think that maybe they should have used a little bit of him. Okay, so they showed him learning how to fly. And then, so he just goes
figure out the icing problem.
Yeah, right. And he had that, he had that shit figured out before it even happened, right? He already had the ice break button. The first time he tried.
Oh no! The first time he nearly died. He just managed to reboot it by opening up a parachute.
He broke the ice, though. He
chiseled the ice. Yeah, he opened up flares, deploy flares, some shit. Yeah. And also, did you notice that line about space travel? After he nearly falls to his death from the sky, and they decide to spray paint the suit gold to something about the color gold deals with ice. I don't know. But Jarvis is like, are you planning on taking this boy into space? It's like, you never know. Might be necessary. In case somebody called the Guardians of the Galaxy shows up.
Yeah,
might need it. But it's cool to see them laying down those kinds of Easter eggs up front. Like that was something I definitely didn't catch back in 2008 when I watched it.
Yeah, I barely caught most. Some of it skipped through last night. One of the good things was the copy I have downloaded. It just the dialogue. What was it called? Fucking subtitles were on. So I had the volume down low at some point. And I was just reading it. So there was unless someone fucked up, I knew exactly what happened, word for word. What was that? Okay, so so they show him training and learning and flying and whatnot. And then as soon as he just goes ape shit and he finds out about that city, someone reminds him or whatever, and he thinks about that city again. And he goes, "Fuck this!"
Someone. Christine.
It's Christine.
The plot device designed to get Iron Man from one place to another.
How was she the only hot chick, quote, that Tony was banging in this movie? I'll never understand. You could have got Rachel McAdams or some shit, but Anywho, so he goes. Okay, so he's learning how to fly, and he's fucking up, right? He almost killed himself. He's fucking up. He's smart, so he gets out of it, and he has a good, I don't know. He put everything together. It's super awesome. But his first mission, he's whooping ass, just like we said earlier. Did he miss a beat?
Well, I mean,
okay, come on. How many missiles has he fired in his time? How many bad guys is he shooting in his time? He fucking was on it, dude. Not everything was targeted.
It's assisted aim from Halo. You're fine.
No,
you just need to
stare
at him and let the bullets do the rest.
That was ridiculous. I was just like you think he would have I guess it was his second fight, but I mean, it wasn't like the first Iron Man suit. Like, it was really just to get me the fuck out of here, right? Like, so It wasn't really meant to do that battle, even though he knew he had to, but it was more of a a quick battle. So this one was ready for more sustainability. And he was just fucking on it. Just, this is my second fight ever. Boop, 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 boop. I was like, Jesus fuck. The whole part with the tiny little Jericho missile that came out, or whatever you would call it, with all the homing ones, that was dope as shit. That was just his intelligence. He didn't have to do anything there.
Oh, when he took out the guys holding all those people hostage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That part was dope.
I mean,
he didn't have to do anything. He already set the auto targeting system. But everything else, it seemed like, I don't know, it seemed like he was doing this a little too well. Like, where did he test out the thrusters to fucking attack people? There was one scene.
You don't need to see that part. You saw 30 minutes.
There was one
working
scene
out the kinks in this thing.
But it's not the kinks, man. We're talking about, like, there's flying in the suit, which is insane, and then there's fighting in the suit. Like, it's a different level. And can we talk about the suit for a second? Don't you think they should show, like, a little cushion layer in between? Because it looks like he steps into just metal. And even though it looks dope and Transformer,
really, when they have that whole arming up sequence, he's in like this whole onesie Under Armour type deal, and then they put like the frame around him, and then the suit goes on over on top of that.
So he's just wearing neoprene.
I'm willing to your argument.
Oh man,
I think he's pretty. I mean, it's not something that's easily realistic, you know?
Yeah.
It's passable.
It just looks like there's no room for anything. I was just like, God damn. Like, and then I don't know. I guess I thought about, like, him falling, and I was just like, how's that not death? Like, I know you're protected from missiles, but just falling is...
Yeah, I mean, I appreciated the way they edited the action sequence in that. It wasn't a lot of jump cuts because there wasn't a lot of fist fights in it, really. You could just kind of stand back and let the auto tracking do its thing.
Yeah, and there shouldn't really be. I think Iron Man fights like superheroes and villains with fist fights. Everything else is like, it's him versus humans for the most part. Oh, so if he's fighting Cap, it's just like, all right, well, now I've just leveled the playing field, you fucking super soldier, liquid drinking, army fighting. Motherfucker.
And even after that scene, you get to see him go up against some. I think those are F-22 fighter jets. It's just a training simulation.
Okay, that was insane. That was fucking dope as hell. There was this part that kind of didn't make sense though. It was like,
where they caught up to him. Or
no, them catching up to him makes perfect sense. Like he can maneuver well, but he can't fly faster than a jet. You fucking kidding me?
He went supersonic just to get over to Golmaria. I mean, maybe Raptors are able to.
Okay,
I'm sure somebody smarter will hit you up on an email and tell you how fast F-22s go. But still, you shouldn't be able to catch up with the tiny little man zigzagging through the sky.
Well, then how'd they catch up to him to begin with? You're going to tell me he didn't have a targeting system that told him that there's two jets coming after you?
Well, Rhodey over in Langley, Virginia, saw a bogey in the area, deployed the Raptors, and they were on his ass in no time.
That's what I'm saying, but if he could just outrun them or outfly them, like, that would just be my first move. Plus, yeah, okay, are they not awake at night? Because do you remember when he went flying around at night? Like, did no one catch that on their radar, or is it free space to fly above, Stark Tower? I don't. That part seemed like he was too free, and then he's flying around over here. It's just like, oh, you can't fly over his restricted airspace. I thought all of it was restricted airspace. Is it not?
Well, I mean, it's not like Tony Stark was trying to hide his identity. They kind of play that scene at the end like it was a surprise. And yeah, I guess to the general public, nobody knew who Tony Stark was. But I mean, even in the comics, I believe Tony Stark was relatively open about him being Iron Man. I know in the beginning, or like for the first 200 or so issues, Iron Man was passed off as Tony Stark's bodyguard.
Yeah, that sounds
But
like cartoons to me.
yeah, and I think it was a dropped opportunity to plant some seeds for Civil War, but they're not really playing up the whole costume hero of it like they do in Daredevil over on the Netflix side of it. Like you're not really worried that Captain America might be found out to be Steven Rogers or the Hulk being Bruce Banner type deal. So yeah, it made sense to me that he wouldn't be too concerned about who's seeing him fly through the streets.
Plus, I mean, I don't know, he doesn't have like Batman type villains. Like, even though eventually Batman's villains find out who he is, like, I wouldn't want them to know. But it's that whole accountability thing again, man. He's just manning up to it. He's just going, look, that's me. I did that, but I saved everybody. So fuck you guys. No, that guy up there, that's totally me. But that when I used to see, I used to watch
that's not being humble. He's generally masturbating all over the podium. He's way too happy that he's Iron Man.
Of course. Okay. Stop.
And that's the
I still 100% back my own point. I want this to be on record. Well, one thing about that scene we were talking about I thought was crazy that kind of gives you more, characteristics about Tony Stark was, remember when he went to save that guy who blew up because he fucking smashed into Tony's back and somehow Tony's back still works?
No, what is this?
When that jet, so those two fighter jets were going after him, right? And one of them,
oh yeah, he'd do a barrel roll, and then they shook him off, and then he slams into the wing, and yeah, probably severs like his third vertebrae.
Yeah, right. What was that? This thing hit me going like 800 miles an hour. Just like, now I'm fine. What kind of technology is this, man? Tony? But okay, so after that, like, what's his name? Jarvis, right? He keeps telling him, "Hey, don't do this. Don't get that guy. You can't do this." And he's like, "Fuck it, go for it." You don't understand that other jet is trying to kill you. And then they even said it over the radio. He's like, "Yeah, well, fuck it. If he's that dude was falling without a parachute, and the other guy's boss was telling him, if you have a shot, take it.
You are free to engage the Yeah, I thought that was a weird sequence in editing because you don't see the other jet again after
No, Tony. That's what I'm saying.
Tony, military base.
He just takes off once he like pulls the or the thing, he breaks it and unjams and whatnot. Tony just
that's
takes
the end
off.
Of the scene.
He's gone. They said we lost the target, and it's just like, how come he didn't lose y'all niggas like 25 minutes ago? What is this? Why was he there?
That was all the action that they needed to portray. I mean, that whole sequence was done directly after the he goes into Golmeria and takes out the terrorists. Like, it was just a showcase for what the suit is capable of. And even, or rather, after they get back is when the secondary villain of Obadiah Stane comes to fruition, and
the guy with the fucked up face.
He goes to Afghanistan and steals the Mark I armor from the terrorists, and gets mad at them for not killing Tony Stark to begin with.
Yeah, dude. Like, I would be too. How do you not do this?
I argued about this at the top of the top of this.
Okay, hold on.
But there's no reason to be wanting to. There's no reason to want to kill Tony Stark.
Okay, but past that, okay? Let's just say that there is a reason for that. How did they fuck up is the question. Why? So at the start of the movie, you were thinking they just caught him and they wanted him to make this shit for them, right? And then you find out that Obadiah...
Yeah, they kind of got lucky that Tony even ended up out of that whole shebang alive. Because if you remember, back in the beginning of the movie...
when he ran over by that missile?
While he's still in the Humvee, the guy sitting next to him gets out of the car, and then immediately there are 20 holes blown into the Humvee, and none of them hit Tony.
That's what makes that part so unbelievable. So it's like, so you paid them to do this? Like, you did a really good job at almost getting him killed. And then we captured him, and then, but here's the part that doesn't make sense is, So then you captured him, and then so when you're saying make the Jericho missile for us, and he's not, he's just fucking around and he's making the Iron Man suit. Whose orders are these? Are you just trying to make money off him before you kill him?
Oh, yeah, they're freeballing at this point. They just want some of them missiles.
That's the part.
But,
so are we just supposed to believe that because the other part doesn't make sense, or is that actually what's going on?
Well, I mean, my beef is clearly these terrorists already have a direct line to Obadiah Stane. Like, why even bother Tony to build it? I mean, probably because Tony's the only one who can do it since he's a super genius. But at that point, maybe just don't kill him. You know? Maybe keep him and his big giant genius brain around.
Well, I mean, it only would have lasted with like the 3 days that they gave him, I suppose.
All right, but even after that, after the whole jet fighter sequence, Obadiah Stane turns proper evil. You know, steals the Mark I armor, builds one for himself after yelling at a bunch of scientists.
And okay, and then there's the scene where one of the scientists tells you, "I'm not Tony Stark." So that's how you can just kind of tell these are straight up fucking 8 years in school, like doctors, scientists, whatever. And Tony Stark is that fucking smarter than them. That he's not. He didn't go. Well, I guess he did go to school, but he didn't get his PhD, did he?
Tony? No, he graduated from MIT at 16, son. Did you not read the Cliff Notes and the PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah. Did you give that?
No, it was at the benefit at the opening of the movie.
At the sound of sounding stupid. How far can you go in MIT? It's bachelor's, right?
I know nothing.
Well then, nigga, don't be talking greasy to me.
I'm pretty sure it's impressive to graduate from any four-year
Total,
institution.
well, okay.
16.
Okay, good call. I assume a lot of Indian people are like that now, but Tony's the smart one. But okay, so let's skip over to the fact that he stole Tony's new version of the mini arc reactor, so the better one, the one that he didn't make in a cave, and he put it in his suit. And the first time he put it in his suit, this dude knew how to fly. He knew how to fight. He knew how to do everything it took Tony 30 scenes to do. And Tony's 10 times smarter than him. Why are we trying to crush this movie into 2 hours?
One of the largest knocks against the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's probably something that we'll get back into as we go over each film, is that the villains aren't really rounded out. Like, it's always mostly a showcase for the hero. Like, even in Civil War, you just had heroes battling heroes because I don't know if they don't feel like investing the time into making a three-dimensional villain. But, I mean, they've always struggled in that regard. Other than Loki and...
Magneto?
No. Strictly the Marvel movies.
Oh, okay.
And not even the Netflix TV series, because I believe like Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin is easily the best Marvel villain that they have. The Purple Man, Jessica Jones, Kilgrave.
Yeah, I liked him.
Yeah, but movies
and you know
it's
who
just
he looks like right now in my head. He looks like that guy from what's that, Reno 911? The guy with the short shorts. Right?
Really? Okay.
Just picture him right now. Are they not synonymous?
I mean, maybe no. Mainly because
they're both just skinny white guys, right? Just with that creepy look and that fucking little flip on their hair.
I think you're just being racist.
Fine. Yeah, I'm the one who thinks all white people look the same. Fuck you.
All right. So giant robot battle in the sky. This is kind of where they were losing me. And what is a great movie, I think, having two Transformers battle it out for the fate of New York City.
It was totally a scene from RoboCop.
Yeah, you got a little silly. And they had to his power levels overnight. They had to take down Iron Man's power level so much just to make it a fair fight.
Well, there was good reason for that, right? Because he had to use... I mean, I feel like this... Okay, here's one thing I don't
did have his heart ripped out like 20 minutes earlier.
And he's using a weaker, I assume, less quality version of an arc reactor?
Yeah, that was... he was using the heart that he built
In
in
the
the cave.
Okay, so
Yeah.
answer me this question real quick. So
Pepper gave him as a gift.
does the arc reactor power the whole suit, or does the suit have its own energy source?
Oh man, you're killing me, Smalls. I have no clue. But
Oh,
I imagine
are you serious?
well, it's the source of the power for the suit because when it shuts down, you see all of Jarvis's systems go offline. But you're asking for the nitty gritty. I don't know.
Well, okay, so I figured you would know. But okay, so that scene. Oh, we have to skip ahead now. So that scene in this was it the Civil War when when fucking Captain is fucking breaking that. So he's just breaking the suit's power, right? Like Tony's fine, right?
Oh yeah, where he caves in Iron Man's heart.
I know. That's why I was like, is he
Should
trying to
probably
kill him?
kill
Like,
him.
this is already 2-on-1.
I imagine that's a different version of his heart by the time you make it to Civil War. But yeah, that was pretty ballsy by Captain A there.
Totally unfair.
That might have murdered him.
Iron Man was whooping their ass too.
Do you want to skip ahead to the press conference? Obviously,
Well,
Iron Man saves the day, kills his longtime business partner, and gets Rhodey and Agent Coulson to cover it up. It was a axe. I believe it was a car crash. That's what they.
oh, the arc
they wanted
reactor
to call
accident,
it.
right? Okay.
Yeah, something.
So we were kind of talking about this earlier. So how did Tony live through that? Didn't his heart get shut down? And then after that, there's no more arc reactors to plug into his chest?
I think it was the power of love. It just came back on when Pepper Potts ran over to him or something. It just rebooted.
There's some connection to her. Did you see? Okay, do you remember the scene? It was kind of a while back now that we're this far ahead in the movie, but when Pepper's actually helping him put that thing into his chest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's Robert Downey Jr. Just stealing the movie. Well, it's his
stealing the movie. Do you remember?
I'm sorry, just hamming it up. Just being a big old ham.
I liked the scene. It was a very personal scene. I just thought there was this like when she plugs it in, like she puts her left wrist in there. Her left wrist has like a watch on it.
Okay.
I just think it's weird to just stuff your hand with loose jewelry into someone's chest. Like that was the hand with the jewelry.
Yeah. It was pretty grotesque.
I lost my ring in there.
But he had a very cavalier attitude about almost dying. Really nothing phases him. Again, I blame the booze.
I feel like he just over exaggerates. Like, I mean, he's doing it on purpose. I assume. I don't know. Like, you really think he's just that
Wait,
careless?
what part?
Well,
nearly dying?
Is he nearly dying? That's what he tells you. But he knows more about what's going on with his chest than anyone.
He was going into cardiac arrest.
So says
he was trying to talk her down from panicking.
When was the last time you were able to explain to somebody that you were going into cardiac arrest?
Well, I've never had to remove my glowing heart from my chest before.
I'm just saying that all the
don't oftentimes have the opportunity.
All the narration we're getting from his words, from what he says. Maybe he's just saying too much is happening when it's not, and it's just kind of over exaggerated. I don't know that, or do you think he's just more careless than anything? What are you doing?
I just thought he was being comforting. Who are you yelling at?
You motherfucker! What are you showing me?
Oh, I'm sorry. You still have the video on. I'm standing up now because I'm stretching.
Don't stand up into the camera like that. I see you on a tiny window in the upper right corner. What is he doing?
All right. Where are we at?
Actually,
let's talk about the press conference just to get to the end credit sequence. Let's see. At the end, they're setting groundwork for the next Iron Man movie. He's at the podium. They're going over the events that led to the explosion at the Stark factory, and eventually it comes out that I'm Iron Man. I had this whole story I was going to tell you, but screw that noise. I'm a superhero.
He doesn't play by those rules, man. Plus, I mean, he's a superhero who. Okay, here's another difference. We were talking about Batman and Iron Man earlier. Here's another difference. Batman doesn't make his own fucking suits.
What? He has a tailor? Who's his tailor? Alfred?
Lucius?
Fox? Oh, yeah, well, I thought he was just his tech guy. He does the suit, too?
He does everything like that. Anything that Bruce doesn't bring to the table, which is intelligence and, like, badass fighting style, like, it's Alfred and Lucius. Yeah, Lucius, like, that's who... I forget how you don't know about DC. I know jack shit, but I saw the movies where he kept going to Lucius to get like thicker armor. He's like, well, this is bulletproof, but you know, you're not gonna be able to move. So
in my head, yeah, I do recall that. I mean, is that a knock against Batman? Are you saying?
Well, in the comparison to Iron Man, like Iron Man makes his own shit. Yeah, that is kind of a knock at him. Like Batman, he always gets out of it. Don't get me wrong, but Tony flies out of it. I'm just saying.
All right, so Tony is the better billionaire. We're going with that.
I think doesn't
Fair
that
enough.
make him okay? I don't want to say smarter because Batman's a super detective.
Certainly,
he's stupid smart, and all of his villains are doctors. It's weird.
I'm sorry. I just watched Lego Batman recently, so that's my only frame of reference for Batman and Bruce Wayne is just this brooding, just sad sack of a human. Nobody likes me.
He's got to have the voice.
The only way.
I never read the comic books. I saw the '90s comic series, the '90s cartoon series though.
Oh yeah, everybody did.
No, I saw it at the age of like 28. Like it was. I didn't like Batman as a youngin, and I feel
I ran home after school to see that nonsense.
I don't know. I think I couldn't get over the fact that he was human. Like I was like, one of the things I liked about superhero movies or cartoons or whatever was the fact that they're super. Like, okay, so if Tony's not super athletic, he's got a super suit. I think that was too loud. But yeah, he's got like a super suit. So everyone has a super power in some way or another. It's just like Batman's super smart, and I was like, I didn't respect
Except
that.
for Scarlett Johansson. I mean, all she gets to be is hot.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
the power of hotness gets her through a lot of problems.
You think I gave a fuck about her ever as a character? No, she's cool as shit. But do you think I ever gave a fuck about her ever?
The Black Widow is pretty neat as a character in the comics, but there's not a lot to do with her if you're trying to put her on like the big boys team next to the Hulk. You don't really need somebody with like a wrist rocket.
I think it's a cheaper way to get more heroes on the show because they also have like Hawkeye, who's exactly the same, but they should because I know he shoots a bow and arrow, but it's not really him. Like it's just like CG when that happens. So otherwise, they're the same. They don't have to really animate anything. They have stunt doubles and they teach them little martial arts, and they don't have to come up with graphics for what they're gonna do because it's nothing unbelievable for the most part. Like they can probably jump further.
Why are you hating on Hawkeye, man?
I'm saying
he's
it's
the
a way
point of this team.
Okay, so those are 2 out of the like 5 Avengers on the Avengers team. It's come on, man. Who's next? Like, all right, well, it's gonna get better. We got Hulk. Yeah, but even Hulk is only an Avenger when he's Hulk. Like when he's bruised, and we got 3 humans. What the fuck's going on here?
The Hulk is genuinely a problematic character, and we'll get to that when we discuss the Hulk on the next installment. We made it through this one. Let's make it to the end credit sequence, though, because this is a big announcement. This is what I got everybody all excited. The idea of a cinematic universe in the first place, something that has never been tried up until fucking recently with DC and Universal. Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, shows up, says, hey, thinking about starting a program. I have this Avengers Initiative shindig. How jazzed up were you in 2008 for the idea of having all these comic characters on screen? And at this point, it was only Iron Man announced. I don't believe we saw the slate for Captain America, but we knew a Hulk movie was coming out at this point. So I mean,
okay. Well, this is what we need to make pretty clear here. So you're talking about the Incredible Hulk.
Yes, specifically that one.
Because it's just all too close. I'm pretty sure the Hulk movie called Hulk came out before Iron Man, right?
The Ang Lee Hulk, yeah. Did it come out in 2007 or did it? It was definitely before this Incredible Hulk version. I remember that one.
Probably before.
But I think it may have come out in 2000. I think it may have come out in 2008. Was it really 06? Why are we arguing? We have the power of Google at our fingertips. If you want to keep talking about something, I punch this into my Googler.
Well, I'm kind of going through the scenes right now. I'm trying to get towards the end to see if there's something we don't miss. Oh, you know what we didn't go over? Because we talked about it before. The actual cast was Okay, I don't want to blow past Iron Man 2 and or 3, but there was a fuck ton of references in this movie to the goddamn Mandarin.
2003, Ang Lee's Incredible Hulk with, just Hulk. With Eric Bana as the lead. That's who played him.
That's a very
but
similar name.
yeah, you're right. To your point about the Mandarin, there were some Easter eggs for his organization, the Ten Rings.
There was at least 2 rings they showed on screen, right? Or unless there was the same one over and over again, and I couldn't tell because all Arabs looked the same.
You might actually know more about the Mandarin than I do, because I never really found him as a compelling villain, even in the comics. I thought he was just a little bit too racist and just.
Well, I thought he was
cardboardy cutout of a human.
I thought the name Mandarin made me think he was Chinese. All right, that's about all I know.
He is of Oriental descent. And at the risk of skipping ahead, how did you appreciate that little twist in Iron Man 3?
No, we don't want to do that now. It's going to get us talking.
We don't?
No,
we don't? Spoilers?
No, we can't do that. Cannot do that. But yeah, they make a few references, because they just kind of hone in on, I think that dude's name was Omar. I don't know, some Arabic name. They just keep zooming in on him, kind of sitting there, just kind of fucking with it. They made at least 2 verbal references saying he's a member of the Ten Rings. The Ten Rings. Oh. What I know about Mandarin is I feel like not all that much. I thought he was one of Tony Stark's main villains because this dude was one of his most toughest.
Yeah, he is. In the comic books, it was one of the quintessential Iron Man villains.
Plus, he tried to do these crazy.
But there's
shit.
not.
I don't know what his plight was ever. I don't know. Probably some kind of world domination, but.
The Ten Rings, son. Each one of them does a magical thingy. It's kind of like an Infinity Stone light.
Yeah, nowhere near it. I was gonna say
it can't probably bend the fabric of reality.
Okay, real quick. Mandarin with 10 rings versus Doctor Doom. Go.
Easily Doctor Doom.
God damn, those rings.
One of the.
Those
and honestly, I do not know that much about the Mandarin. He's genuinely a '70s villain. I may have read those I may have just found them in my dad's archives.
He was in the cartoon.
And read one or two.
The '90s cartoon. That one of the things I liked about the '90s cartoon was Iron Man rolled in a gang. It was always 5 on 5. It was always Iron Man, War Machine. Was it Spider Woman? Spider Woman had red hair and a black and white outfit.
I'm gonna go with yes.
Okay, so Spider Woman, and then there was Grey Gog. No, that was a bad guy.
The Mandarin is portrayed as a genius scientist and superhumanly skilled martial artist. All right, so what are the rings about then?
They all have a different ability, but I think in combination he becomes, once he has all 10, it's it's Infinity Stones-ish, but for planet Earth. It's you could probably take over the planet. I don't know if you want to step up to the galaxy. Be like that nigga Ronin. Test your limits.
Yeah, wow. Apparently he's been around for a dang long time. Fair enough. All right. Let's wrap this show pony up. I've gone on long enough. Got to pick up the wife. I thought we were a little rambly in spots, yeah.
Oh, of course.
But
okay, so we're trying to talk about the end of it. So one good thing I wanted to point out was Shield not in the right place at the right time or what? Because I know he followed Pepper for 3 scenes, and then it was just once she was scared that this fucking monster was out to get her, she was like, "Oh, you and 7 agents, come with me."
Well. Yeah, they set up an interview when Tony came back from being kidnapped in Afghanistan. Berger in the press conference. Coulson was there
when she left
to talk about the strategic homeland independent blah 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 Shield thing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they had set up that meeting. So it was just fortunate that as Pepper was escaping the building, she said, "Yeah, you're coming with me." Bring all your guns. Don't let that giant ball jump bridge guy.
Illegal dude, get your ass over here. But yeah, I mean that was kind of a cool introduction to Shield. I feel like you were mentioning earlier, you talking about that fucking Shield show. That never makes me want to see that Shield show. You could just
the completist in me is going to try to watch the first season just so I can offer more to these next few podcasts that we're gonna do.
There was a couple episodes that were kind of fun, dude. I'm not gonna lie. One of them,
I'm told season 2 picks up a little bit. They have the Absorbing Man, which is, I guess, is going to be interesting.
See, that's the thing. You got 24 hours surrounded by one villain. It's like
my biggest beef is it looks a little too daytime drama-y for me. Like all those characters are like NCIS.
It feels like,
like
to
Supernatural.
Me, it feels like this idea was already a show, and they just slapped the Marvel label on there without putting in a lot of money. Because what I watched probably the first half of the first season, I couldn't tell you who the villain was. I could tell you they were psychic. I was just like, who is this villain?
Man, spoiler alerts. Literally on episode 1.
I
turned it off halfway through episode 1 because I think that character was Luke Cage. I'm not sure. But they had this factory worker that got a hold of some kind of tech. I think it was Shatari tech, and is just being all big and scary. But he was spitting out some of the most cliche, like, I am a bad guy dialogue for no real reason.
Do you want me to tell you?
No real reason. Please, go ahead. Was that Luke Cage?
No, but I thought exactly the same thing, and I thought I was either racist or just stupid or full of hope, going, hey, they're actually going to put some heroes in here. I could tell you who he is.
Who is he?
Deathlock?
What? Really? Actually, no, that's kind of crazy interesting. Really?
Yeah.
Deathlock?
Yeah. He's like an android.
Oh,
right?
That's an X-Men character. Yeah. That's an X-Men character. Huh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll stick with it just for that.
That part's interesting. Also, what's her name? Chloe. Come on.
I got nothing. I know Sky.
Sky.
There's a girl named Sky who seems
cute,
important.
Great legs, nice butt.
The hacker?
Yeah. No,
sure.
She's.
I'm partial to the Asian lady whose name I don't know either.
50-year-old lady?
I mean, gilfs need love too. Age is just a number, man.
Oh my god.
Let's wrap this up. It's getting weird.
Her name is Chloe Bennett, Trey. You need to look her up. She's actually from Nickelodeon.
Is she really?
Yeah, she was in all that after I don't know.
Whoa, really?
After the Mexican people in our grade class had kids.
When you say all that, all I think of is Lori Beth Denvers, and I'm like, oh, she lost weight. Right.
But Amanda Bynes.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to
her? She's not cute anymore.
Jabril, where can we find you on the social interwebs?
Oh, that's fun. Well, I haven't changed anything on my YouTube channel for my my page, which should just be jparimal86. I honestly don't know what to change that to. I'm kind of tampering out with the Neil, Brillo Vision for the name, or Brill TV. Apparently, Brill is kind of a popular name. I'm sure you know of a rap artist named Brill.
No, I listen to punk rock.
You listen to all the music. I figured you would know. But I found out just by searching on YouTube.
Who's going around naming their children Brill?
I don't know that's his real name. It's Young Brill, Young Yeezy, whatever the fuck his name is. But yeah, some of those names are already taken, and I kind of wanted that, to be easy to search my name. But right now it's jparimal86. I am. It should just be my first name and last name, Jabril Parimal. You can search that on Facebook. And if you hit Facebook or Twitter, I know for sure they have all my other social link accounts attached to there. So you can find SoundCloud. I'm on iTunes as Is It Just Me by Jabril. Is it? I don't know.
Glorious. I encourage you to troll him in the iTunes comment section. It's the only place you'll be able to find me trolling around, seeing if this thing is any good. Let's get our act together. Come back stronger. Incredible Hulk status.
That's going to be the next one?
For part 2. Damn Skippy.
Okay, do you want to set the date now for this, or is that too official?
Ooh, maybe we're going to do one a week, eh?
I think it's possible.
Get this train really rolling.
I think it's possible.
All right. I'm a fan.
It's possible. It's going to be a little bit difficult because I like to watch the movies twice.
All right. Have fun.
All right.
Thank you. It was a blast.
All right. Good stuff. Peace out, Trey.